Welcome everyone to our monthly Apple Core of Dallas meeting. This is November 12th, 2022. And today we've got one of our founding members, Ray Thompson, who is going to be talking to us about Topaz Labs AI plugins for Photoshop, editing photos and videos. Ray has been a photography aficionado forever. And we're lucky to have him here to talk to us about that today. So Ray, go ahead.
Thank you very much. See if I can share my desktop here. I'm going to do a little audio to begin, if you will. Incidentally, there is, well, let's see. I'll just read what I've written. I won't be off rambling. Digital photos often suffer from digital noise, motion blur, and lack of sharpness caused by high ISO settings needed to shoot in low light or with very fast shutter speeds. Concern for these problems in your photos varies from photographer to photographer and from viewer to viewer. Perhaps a dividing line between amateur and pro is how much time we spend correcting noise, blur, and sharpness in our photos. An unsharp photo really bothers my enjoyment of the photo. But my wife will think the same photo is just fine unless the color of the sweater isn't exactly as she remembers it. Most photo editing programs, ON1, Photoshop, and Lightroom, provide tools for correcting these problems in our digital photos. These tools have advanced rapidly, and today, with the use of artificial intelligence, AI, what can be done is truly amazing. Plugins are specialized apps for programs that connect to most photo editing programs. They add specialized tools for editing, adding effects, sizing, and yes, correcting noise, blur, and unsharpness. Today, I'm going to talk about plugins from Topaz Labs. These plugins work when attached to your favorite photo programs, Photoshop or Lightroom, and they work as standalone apps in your dock. Topaz has competed in the plugin market for many years, and I have not used them previously, but their latest offerings are bringing us into the realm of artificial intelligence engines, or AI. Of course, Adobe is also heavily using AI in Photoshop and Lightroom. And when there is competition, you have the beginning of a never-ending controversy over which is best. But this always is what moves the technology forward. So we're in the midst of some really amazing things happening in digital. Today, I'm going to explain and demonstrate what I've learned about the latest plugins for Photoshop and Lightroom from Topaz. By the way, Topaz says they are hiring in Dallas. The competition is fierce, and this technology is advancing so rapidly that almost every time I open a Topaz app, there is an update waiting. By the way, there is a Topaz users group on Facebook. Now you can watch hundreds of demos about using these plugins at topazlabs.com and on YouTube. I will show a couple, and if time permits, a longer one at the end. But instead, I'm going to show you a few of the things that I have been doing with my M1 MacBook Pro and the Topaz apps. I might add that the AI engines in these apps require considerable processing power. And I suspect that the arrival of AI on our desktop is because the latest PCs and Macs have more processing power. My M1 has worked just great. Okay, at this point, I'm going to experiment today with using Stage Manager in my presentation, and y'all will be the judge of whether or not it's good or bad. So I'm opening Stage Manager, and I'm going to the Finder to open a folder. And now, does that entire folder show?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I cranked up the type size as best I could, and now I'm going, let's see.
Ray, can you give just a short little summary of what Stage Manager is?
Yeah, Stage Manager is new in Ventura, and it's a multitasking tool. And I think it's going to be great, but it's really hard to change the way you've been doing things for years. We don't always do the same thing. I know some that use multiple desktops, and I've tried that and just never got the hang of it. But on the other hand, sometimes I'm really frustrated with getting things together on the screen. And so right up here in system, and let's see, what do we call this?
The control box or something?
Huh? Up here in the corner, what do we call that?
Control settings, maybe?
Control setting. I'm sorry, my memory is fading. Anyway, here's where you turn it on. So I've turned it on. Now you notice my desktop is not showing. If I click on the desktop, I get it back. But if I click on it again, I'm back in Stage Manager, and Stage Manager isolates it to just this folder that I've opened. Okay, here are the plugins that I have purchased from Topaz. I'm going to talk about nearly all of them except Video AI. Now, we need someone else to tell us about that. Oh, shoot. I can't think of his name. We have one video guy in the group, highly qualified to do this, taking 1080 video up to 4K or 8K. I think that's what
Don Smith.
Yeah, I think that's what Video AI is. I have played with it a little bit, trying to improve some real grainy old 8mm movies, and it didn't do much. But today I'm going to talk about these other plugins from Topaz: Denoise, Gigapixel, Sharpen, and Photo AI. I'm going to start with just this thing that's on the screen, which is a tiny screenshot from my applications menu. You notice it's 183 kilobaud, 144 pixels per inch PNG. And, you know, it's not bad. Our screenshots are, as far as using them on the screen, are pretty darn good. And we all use those from time to time. But now let me show you this one, which has been run through gigapixel and enlarged 6 times to a whopping 22.5 megabytes. I'll open it now. It's still 144 pixels per inch, but if let's see, if I do Command I here, it's still 144 pixels per inch, but it's much larger file. And if I zoom in here, I think you can see how absolutely sharp it is. Just amazing. Now this is this is important, or this can be a problem when you want to print something. And I have run into a serious problem with some printing that, oh, let's see, I'm getting off my, okay, I'm getting off my notes here, and I better get back. Okay, so that's gigapixel. Next is denoise, which removes digital noise from an image. And this is a critical step for certain images, but requires some knowledge and experience to use. I think Jose could talk about this someday, but frankly, I don't always know what noise looked like. I'm just not into that. And so far, I haven't used denoise. Now, sharpen, let's see, let's get these back up here. Sharpen AI. This overcomes out of focus, motion blur, and soft lens defects. It is really amazing, and I have used it extensively. The AI engine inside of it has 4 different sharpening models to try on your photo and displays the result of using each model, so you can then choose which you think is best, or you can just leave it on automatic. And the AI engine will decide for you. And to me, auto is a no-brainer. The engine, the AI is a lot smarter than I am. And although you can override it and it'll say no sharpening is required, you can push a little slider and sharpen it if you choose. Now, I think the really amazing thing about sharpen, and where the AI is just unbelievable, this plugin looks for faces, human faces, and is specifically trained to sharpen them. And finally, you can choose to sharpen just parts of the photo selectively by use of a mask. These 3 plugins are sold separately for about $80 or in a bundle for $200. Discounts are available if you already own some Topaz plugins. Now, here I need a big shout. Where is it? Oh, come on. Sorry, folks. One of my pieces is missing, but I will simply announce it. I had a big banner, and the banner read, "Now stop the presses, stop the presses. Everything has changed." About a month ago, Topaz Labs released Topaz Photo AI. Photo AI does everything that gigapixel denoise and sharpen plugins do, all in one app. It still allows you to make decisions about the processing if you choose, but also works completely automatically. This has caused considerable consternation among users and a lot of confusion. But it looks like Topaz is going to put a lot of future development into this app. This has owners of some of the older plugins kind of grouchy because it looks like they are abandoning the apps that they paid for. We'll see how that plays out. But right now, every time I open Photo AI, there are 1 or 2 updates, and it is just getting better by the day. Let's see.
So Ray, are you saying you could buy that one plugin to get pretty much anything you wanted out of Photo Update?
Well, that's my take. Now, as I said, people that are really photo fans or fanatics, they are going to still use the individual plugins, I think, especially denoise for certain things and sharpening to a fare thee well. And there are a lot of videos online that show that. If you, I'm just getting to this, if you own the previous plug-in bundle, Photo AI comes to you free, at least for the first year. If you don't qualify for this discount, Photo AI is $200 and currently discounted to $160. I install my free download and am using it extensively, almost always on auto. I believe Topaz is working very hard on this, and it's really fun watching it. So now let me show a video. I hope this will come up well on our.
In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use Topaz Photo AI in a standalone workflow with non-raw images.
This is 4 minutes long.
So in this case here, I have 3 different JPEGs, but if you're using a TIFF, for example, or any other supported file format that isn't a RAW, this video is for you. So the first thing that you'll want to do is launch Topaz Photo AI, which you can see I have launched here. And there are 3 ways that you can get your images into the application. The first is by going to File and then Open. The second is by clicking on the Browse Images button, which will open up a file explorer. And the third is to take the image from wherever it is on your computer and drag it onto the application. Once the image is loaded, the first thing I always do is review what Autopilot has found. Autopilot really is the hallmark feature of Topaz Photo AI because this is where we will show you exactly what we've identified in terms of the subject, which you can see if you hover over the word subject. A mask that we will automatically apply will show, as well as any issues that Autopilot has detected. And in this case,
the AI masks are pretty much superior to most of us, what most of us can do in masking.
If I zoom in, you'll see that we have detected severe amounts of luminance noise. Now, of course,
Now, he says he sees it. I don't know what luminance noise is.
You're free to make any changes to what Autopilot has recommended. You can disable any of the filters or you can enable them. So for example, if I want to enable sharpening, I can enable it. I can adjust the overall strength, and then I can also choose to apply sharpening only to the detected subject, which is a really nice feature. That way, sharpening is only being applied to the subject and not to the rest of the image. Of course, if you want to return back to the autopilot settings, just click on this button right here, and that will bring you back. Now that we're done, all you have to do is click on the blue Save Image button, and you will have a new screen appear. In the queue, you'll see your image as well as some information about it, like the file format and the resolution. If you were to upscale the photo, you would also see the output resolution there as well. On the right, under export settings, you have a few options. The first is the prefix. Here, if you put something in, this will apply to the beginning of the file name. So you can now see that the file name begins with my_photo. The suffix is the same thing, except for it will apply to the end of the photo. And then if you want, you can enable this switch, which will apply the filters to the file name. So in this case, we only have the denoise model applied. So that's why we have denoise. But if we also had sharpening applied, it would say sharpen as well. Next, you can choose where to save your file. So in this case, by default, you might have original photo, which will save it to wherever the location of the source image is located. In my case, it was the desktop. Of course, you can specify any other folder on your computer to save your image. And then finally, you have a format. By default, we'll preserve the input format. So in this case, we sent a JPEG, so we would save a JPEG, but you also have other options such as PNG, TIFF, and DNG. Now that you're done, just click Save, and that will output the file back to the desktop. On the desktop, you'll see that is the original photo right here. And then we also have the output photo right here as well. Now, let's say you want to work with multiple photos in a batch workflow. You can do that as well. All you need to do is select the images that you want to work with. And in this case here, I have these two JPEGs. I'll take them, and just like before, I'm going to drag them onto Topaz Photo AI. This time along the bottom, you will see an image film strip, and it'll show you all of the images that are open concurrently. So you have the first image on the left, the second image on the right, and you'll see, just like before, Autopilot will identify unique attributes and issues for each of the photos. Here, if I hover over, you can see that we've identified the subject and applied a mask to it. Again, if we want, we can go ahead and apply sharpening. We can adjust the strength, and we can specify that sharpening only applies to the subject only. And just like before, if you want to return back to the Autopilot settings, just click on this button right here. And then if you want to review your other photo, just click on it from the film strip. When you're happy with the results and you're ready to move on, click on the Save to Images button. And just like before, you will be presented with the same options. You'll see your queue with both photos on the left, and then the options under export settings to adjust the prefix, suffix, as well as the ability to add the filters to the file name, where to save it, and which file format you want to save it to. When you're done, just click Save, and you'll see on your desktop you have your two original photos with the two photos saved from Photo AI. To learn more about Topaz Photo AI, head over to topazlabs.com. Thanks a lot.
Okay. I emphasize that, wait a minute, let me get back to Stage Manager. What has brought me to these plugins was a need. I did install them in Photoshop and Lightroom, and I've used them some there. But personally, the reason I got into using these plugins was because I was trying to publish a book on family history. And I originally had some really excellent old black and white photos. But years ago, I lost a Drobo drive that will never leave my memory. I mean, everything old was gone, including a lot of Apple Core stuff. You never forget a loss like that. It haunts your computer. But I do much better backup these days. Fortunately, I used a lot of the family photos on my web page. And of course, these photos were very small, they were compressed, and they worked good on the website, but they weren't adequate for publishing. They just were not up to par. But with the help of Gigapixel and AI and Photo AI, I have brought them up to speed, and I'm going to show you a few of them now. This one here is a 177 kilobaud JPEG. This was retrieved where I had published it on my webpage. This is a picture of my, gotta watch where you're clicking, Ray. Oh, shoot. This is a picture of my adoptive father's family. This is my birth father, I should say. And this is his family. And of course, this, when I found out this, a lot of you know that story. I was, it was really a big thing in my life. So I cared a lot about this picture, but all I had was this 177 kilobaud. Now, here is the same picture enhanced with Topaz Photo AI. It is now 784 kilobaud, and I think you'll see that the faces are just remarkable. I mean, and it's now large enough to print. Even at this small size, it prints fairly well. And I could enlarge it further with Gigapixel. Now then, to detour just a little bit from the let me take this and drag it into Photo AI and let you see it at work. Watch down here in the lower left corner. That's where it's telling you what's going on. It says recovering faces, enhancing, and now the preview has been updated. And you can see the difference if you drag this folder back and forth. Now notice over here, oh shoot, I can't get, okay. Well, I have hidden this from myself. Anyway, notice that it says the subject was detected. It went about enhancing the resolution by 4x and recovering 6 of 6 faces. Remove noise and sharpen were not used. And this is the result. And then if I click save image, well, out comes the better version of this picture. Any questions about what you're seeing, and can you see all of it? Can you see, this is the inside of Photo AI trying to show you the options over here in this. And as I said, I have been simply using autopilot. Now I can turn on remove noise, and here I can change the strength, but it seems to me that auto knows better than I do. So in my personal limitations, I've simply used auto. Okay, let me get out of that.
You have a question, Ray.
Sure.
So does it not work on raw images? Is it only on JPEGs?
No, it works fine on RAW.
Okay.
I think a lot of people initially thought it only worked on raw images. So that video demonstration kind of emphasized that it also worked on, and frankly, I haven't used it on raw except inside of Lightroom. I've used it a lot on old photos like this, and I'm going to show you a few more of them.
And just to be clear, you have to use this as a plug-in to either Photoshop or Lightroom, correct?
No, you see
Okay.
it here. Here it is in my dock. And I have used it mostly as a standalone.
Okay.
That's what I did just now. I drug this down to Photo AI, and it opened and works entirely as a standalone.
So for me, you know, I'm not a photographer, so if I wanted to use the auto process like you're doing, I don't need to go out and buy Photoshop. I could
Correct.
get this. Okay.
Correct. That's one of the nice features. And if you buy this, if you buy this one plugin, you get a lot of the same thing that's done by the other denoise and sharpen and gigapixel. Gigapixel, as far as I can tell, is built into this, as well as sharpen and denoise. They put it all into one. And for me, auto, it's just an amazing thing. You just hit on it and out it comes as a better picture. Now, truthfully, I believe I'm correct in saying that AI, they say, you know, if you have a fuzzy picture, it just can't be fixed. Well, boy, AI fixes it. Now, it may not be pixel for pixel the same as the original that you don't have anyway, but it can make that original, it can make that fuzzy secondary picture even better sometimes than you remember the first one. Let's see. I showed you this. Yeah, there. Let me digress just a second to take a little sidestep here into a new feature of Photoshop that some of you may have not seen. This came out some time ago. I'm going to take this black and white picture into Photoshop. This is not about sharpening now. This is about what's called. So I'll open it in Photoshop. And I go up here to filter. And wait a minute. Let's see. And I select neural filters. Can you see that? I select from the filter menu, neural filters. And up comes a whole bunch of options for neural filters. And I, because of my lack of experience, skip over all of them until I get down here to colorize. And I click colorize. There is my picture in color.
Wow.
And
Ray, I have been using that extensively. And one of the things that I have discovered is that sometimes you have to correct the colors after they are assigned because sometimes they're not accurate.
yeah,
So you have to play around with it. Now, what I do is I put this on layers so that I can do all kinds of things with the layers by correcting in a different layer, and then use the brush to go through the layer to go to the correct color. And it is an amazing thing.
I'd really like for you to come on it and tell us more about that, Jose. I've read the same thing, and of course, you see here in this picture that red hair is off color. But other than that, I tell you, this picture, this family was wowed when they saw this picture because they had never seen it in color. And it is truly amazing to me. There are other options here that I have not played about, some of them in beta.
Right. Right. This is exactly what I meant by that. You see the red hair. If you have a layer underneath, you put a mask, and then you can correct on the layer below whatever color it is that you wanted that hair to be.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why I put it in layers,
Ab-
so that I can correct that. Or sometimes even the
that is obviously the way to do it, especially if you're in
Yeah.
Photoshop anyway. So, well, anyway, I just wanted to show that little thing that is pretty amazing, and an example of what's happening in AI.
Jose has colorized a couple of photos, and it's amazing when you look at the black and white and then see the color photo.
I have a picture of a helicopter landing on the Pan Am building that it was in black and white. So I colorized it, and I also used the add cloud, replace the sky with clouds, which I have a folder for my own cloud pictures. So I put that background, but I wasn't sure that the color of the helicopter was correct. So I went on Google and looked up the colors of the helicopter, and then I corrected the colors of the helicopter, and it looks great. If I say so myself.
I saw that, Jose. Great shot. Great shot. Okay, here's a little more of that I wanted to show. This is my stepson and his family, and they've had this photo for years. And I ran it through Photo AI, and here's what came out. Now, I did this in Photoshop, and so I did go in and select the sky, which is easy nowadays, and darkened it a little bit. But other than that, this photo just came to life. It's truly amazing. Let's see. Here's another one. This is Dot's first family, her first husband and her children. And I had played around with this thing in Photoshop for several years, taking out there was a bunch of things in the background here. I thought I was real smart. I got those out, but I sent it through Photoshop to colorize it, and also to improve the definition of the faces. That seems to be one of the best things about Photo AI is the attention to the faces. Okay, let's see, what else have we got here? Oh yeah. If you're on Facebook, you see people struggling with old photos. And this was one from a friend of mine. She brought it to me last week, or she posted it on Facebook. So I just had to try running it through Photo AI. And as you can see, the important thing in this picture is the faces. And now they could recognize each one of these friends from their school days that before they just were struggling to see. Incidentally, I had been doing this some on Facebook, and then I found out there is a group of really Photoshop experts on Facebook that if you send them your old pictures, I mean some really bad pictures, they will fix them in a very professional way, and it's all done for free. It's just a bunch of people that know how to use these tools and enjoy doing it. So you can look them up. There's a group, Free Photo Restoration, on Facebook. Send them one of your old cracked and faded pictures, and it's amazing what they can do. Well, that's about it. I'm going to back up. Let's see, how's my time? I'm going to back up and show you one that I skipped over. I told you about needing to enhance some things that I wanted to print in my book, which is kind of a family history. Well, this is a real keepsake. When I was 10 and my sister was 8, this was our birthday card we fixed for Mother. We got her personal card, and then we wrote a note to her. And let me blow it up and show you. This is a tiny little picture. I guess it's 63 kilobaud. It's still readable, but when you try to print it, it just really looks terrible. The truth of the matter is, I had no recollection of doing this, but my dear mother saved this. And when she passed away, we found it in a little box, and I've treasured it ever since. Now, here is the gigapixel version of that. And you'll notice what it does to the type. The type is sharper than it ever was in the beginning. Shoot. Oh, shoot. But it now printed very, very well in my book. So that's my limited experience with these things. And I was going to, let me open.
Hey, Ray.
Yeah.
I came late. I wanted to ask you a question. I'm sorry I came late because this is amazing. Is this just straight Photoshop, or did you have to add some kind of filters to make all this happen?
No, the Photoshop is merely the vehicle. Of course, Photoshop has their own AI tools. And the competition is terribly fierce. But right now, Topaz really seems to have grabbed the stage with this one application. You see it here in my doc, Topaz Photo AI, and it is a standalone app. You don't even have to use Photoshop. I can open it right here, drag my pictures in, and notice up here in the corner, you can't see it, but it says 2 updates available. I have not opened this in a couple of days, and nearly every time I open it, they have worked on the AI and improved it. So if that answers your question.
It definitely does. It makes me happy too, because I didn't want to buy Photoshop because I used something else, but I could buy the Topaz.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ray.
Okay. Any other questions? I appreciate your time.
About pricing information.
Okay, let's see. I covered that. Let me see where I got it here. The 3 plugins are sold separately for $80 each, or in a bundle for $200. And there are discounts available if you already own some of their plugins. They have some older plugins that you may own. Then Photo AI if you own the previous bundle, Photo AI is free, at least for the first year. And if you don't qualify for that, Photo AI is $200, and you can pretty much find it discounted for $160. So for $160, if you look around, you can have that plug-in. It works entirely upon its own, and I have really enjoyed using it.
You said for the first year, is it a subscription plugin?
No, but they've sort of indicated that they're pushing it out there for free as much as they can so people will see it. But a year from now, there will be an update that they're going to charge for. Not necessarily a subscription, but it'll simply be they may turn it into a subscription, but right now it looks like there'll come a time when they say, okay, you can keep using what you got, but the next upgrade will cost you, is the way I understand it.
Yeah, that makes sense. The same thing happened to me on blocks. We've talked about blocks before. They eventually reach a point where you no longer get any free updates. You got to pay to go to the next update. Yeah.
Yeah. Right now, the updates are coming fast and furious. And I think they are, it seems kind of strange that in some ways they're crippling the sale of their individual plugins. But that's what, now denoise, maybe not. I just don't know enough about denoise. But as far as Gigapixel is built into Photo AI, a sharpen is built into it, and so it's the only one you need with one way of thinking. Thank you all.
Why do they call it a plug-in if it will work on any pictures, JPEG pictures?
Well, it's useful to have it inside of Lightroom and Photoshop because you're right there working on the picture anyway, and you can invoke it if you want to, but it's not required. Let's see, I need to turn off my screen sharing now. Okay, here we go. There we go. Turn off screen sharing. Thank you.
All right. Excellent presentation. I'm going to have to check into that myself.
I'd love for Jose to show us about using colorize in Photoshop and using the layers. I've seen it. I've watched a video of it, but I haven't tried it myself. And that you really need that, because although the AI is pretty amazing, it's not perfect. One of the other things about these, it did touch on a little bit, is the fact that you can sharpen only a part of the picture. And that's really important. And so that's built into, that's a big feature of Photoshop's sharpening tools also. And these days, it's just a necessary part of working with tools in Photoshop.
Okay, Taylor, if you want to stop the recording, we'll go back to you for any last wrap up on the election.